Welcome to Subramani. Tenali Raman was once asked by his king, how many blind people are there in the kingdom? So Tenali Raman said, give me some time and I will find out how many blind people are there, and not only that, I will also have I have some of their names written down so that you could look at it. So 2-3 days, Tenali Raman, as you all know, was a pretty lazy guy. So one day he's sitting in the front of the palace, and he is stitching a cot, which means he is putting the rope on the cot, right? The cot with the coir. So, and he's putting the rope on the cot, and the king comes and asks him, what are you doing? So he says, 1 minute, my job is completed. He says, here is a list of blind people in the kingdom. And the king finds his name at the top. And so he says, what nonsense is this? I'm not blind. It's fairly obvious. So he says, it may be obvious, but then you asked me what I'm doing, and it was very evident as to what I was doing. So the fact that you asked me, I'm assuming you could not see what I was doing. Now you translate this into stupidity, and it is very easy to find a number of stupid people near us. It's easy to find a number of greedy people near us. It's easy to find a number of people who just don't know how to invest. Everything around us we are able to find, which means we are able to find other people's mistake far more easily than we are able to find our own mistakes, right? So if you take anybody in the world and you could say, look, something is wrong with this guy. This guy is too rich, he's too, the too rich always comes as subtle jealousy, saying he must have done something wrong. Great riches were not made overnight. Somebody must have been incentivized, he must have bribed, he must have done something to earn this kind of money. He has created so much wealth for others, so what? He's created so much wealth for himself, and some of it fell on us, right? Some of this. So we are able to rationalize everything else, but the biggest problem is we are unable to see our own mistakes. I mean, Daniel Kahneman said that, right, in his Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow book, saying it is easy to spot other people's mistake, and it is easy to be, how do we hide our jealousy? Simply by saying, oh, this was not honestly earned, right? I remember when I was in school, there was a big car standing near our house, and an urchin boy took a stone and scratched the paint from one end to the other. So I told my dad, look at this guy, how he's harming the car. And my dad said, we all do it in our lives. And it is such a beautiful and profound statement. It stayed on 5 years after he's gone, and maybe 30-40 years after it was said. Which is so true. When we see somebody who is very rich, we think, he must have done something very wrong. Or somebody, black ka paisa hoga, he must not have paid salaries, he must have cheated his employees, he must have cheated his customers, something like that. We have to take a stone and scratch his car, because somewhere there is the feeling that I don't have it. So it is subtle jealousy, but subtle jealousy doesn't come out like that. It comes out in various forms. So we are able to find other people's mistakes, saying, his incentive system was wrong, he was very lucky, or things like that. So well, you also got lucky, you also made money. I'm very clear that in the BFSI space and in the software space, somewhere even in the pharma space, many of us got much more money than I got much more money than what I thought I deserve or what I thought I will make. So having said that, why are we not able to look at our own mistakes? Why are we rationalizing and saying, why are we judging others? Why are we not judging ourselves? Because it is very difficult to see our mistakes. When I make a mistake, I keep saying, but my broker gave me a report, my broker asked me to do this and that, and I met the management and therefore I got carried away. I met the fund manager and I got carried away. I have been carried away. I have got carried away by fund managers who are saying their strategy, how it works and why it works and things like that. I've got away. I've lost money because of their mistakes, or at least I've lost partial liquidity. I could not exit when I wanted to exit, right? So all these things happen, and there is nothing which you can do about that, right? It is considered to be normal, and that's what it is. So trying to we underestimate the effort that is required to reach where they are. So we don't see the background effort of a Virat Kohli or a Sachin Tendulkar or a Anushka Sharma or a Samantha Prabhu or any of these younger boys and girls who are in sports or in entertainment. The amount of effort that it takes to be there, you've got to see to believe. Tremendous amount of hard work, discipline. I remember John Abraham saying that for the last 25 years he has not eaten Kaju Katli, and he says discipline is very important. Do you have that kind of discipline? Do we have that kind of discipline in us? The other problem at least in many of the industries which I see, which includes say religion, financial services, medical and all, the power of incentives. We underestimate the power of incentives. When there is a company which treats you well, talks to you, their management talks to you, the top management talks to you, they have lunch with you, they have dinner with you, you don't understand the power of influence. Because when they say something, it takes me 2-3 days for that effect to wear off, saying, oh, this seems to be a good idea. I have to come home, hold my hand for 3 days and say, oh, I met them on a Thursday, so let me not act till it's Monday, Tuesday. It takes that much time whenever you meet a good salesperson. So the power of incentives is huge. We are denying that, because that is where you have where I like to do training, is simply because in training the incentive is very clear to everybody. I go and say those things because I'm paid to say those things, not because they want me to say something very specific. In so many years of having been in the media and as a trainer, no training company has said, I want you to talk about these things. They've said this, but they have not asked me to push something which is against my belief. If somebody tells me you have to say the power of compounding or SIP or things like that, well, I keep saying it, though power of compounding seems to be now hijacked by one PMS provider, but power of compounding is something which we all have done, which we have lived with, and I have benefited by the power of compounding in equity. My equity wealth has grown, right? So I will continue to say that there is a power of compounding happening in equity, though people have their own right to say whether it happens or does not happen, right? So even if you take some of the big accidents in life, like say the financial crisis, good, nice people were given wrong incentives, so they went on selling things which were, in their mind, it was not wrong at all. It is like a person selling unit-linked products does not even think it is a bad product. He continues or she continues to sell that product. And some of those products can be good, really good, and some of those products are a disaster, right? But both sell, and there are salesmen who do a good job with or without understanding the product, right? So that does happen. So we are unable to judge ourselves when we are giving into ambition, greed, or or when we are wrong, or when we are taking a decision which is against the norm, or almost on the border of being illegal, right? So we take those decisions, we act on those decisions. We may not want those decisions for our own self or for our own family. We may not want those things, but it happens, right? You could be selling sugary soft drink and telling your kids don't use it. You could be selling any product and saying, oh, it's too harmful for my family and my family should not have it. So all your recklessness, greed, nothing gets measured also, right? Also, another problem is you do not know what pushes the other person to work like that. I remember I've even spoken about this story. I went to meet a friend when one of the girls working in his office, maybe she's about 35, she came to me showing me her portfolio, a very longish portfolio. Typically, which I would scream at and say, are you mad? Why do you need so many schemes? But she had started with a 500 rupee SIP, a 1000 rupee SIP, a 2000 rupee SIP, and a 3500 rupee SIP. The highest she had gone was 3500 rupee SIPs. But even now, when she was adding 3500 rupee SIPs. Now, I said, you've done a fantastic job of creating this portfolio, and I think way to go, but I'll talk to you later about what else you can do. And she was thrilled, she was beaming, and my friend said, oh, she thinks you're a hero because you appear on TV. So I said, very good. So, and after she left, he said, she's not done a great job, right? I said, no, she's done a fantastic job. Please understand the circumstances under which she's operating. I saw her address. She comes from a very, very low class colony. Where people don't even know the word saving, right? And there this girl has invested 13-14 years back. How many 22-year-olds in rich families and good families think about investing their own money? They just get the money, they blow it. Whereas this girl, when she could afford 500 rupees, she has put 500 rupees. When she got 1000 rupees, she has put 1000 rupees. When she could put 3500, she has put 3500, and now she is doing more in multiples of 3500, because in her head putting more than 3500 rupees in one fund is risky. Therefore she is not putting, and this is my conclusion without even talking to her. So he said, you may be right, she is working with me for the last 10 years, and I've always seen her very risk averse, very scared, and but she's been in equity for 13 years, 14 years. 2008 maybe or 2009 is when she started, right? And she's done well, and she sat through the difficult times. That is the greater skill. So he said, would you say it's a good portfolio? I said, no, this portfolio needs consolidation, but unless you know everything about the person who has done that, if you don't know why that person has done that, all the information about her has to be visible to me, so that I can ask her what she has done. Now I know what she has done, and no point in saying, okay, you don't need some 10 schemes and 20 schemes, you can consolidate. But if I had said you've done a bad job, she wouldn't even come back to me. So understanding that all the information is not always available as to why somebody did that, right? So there are some examples which are politically not right, so I'm not giving that. But why RBI governor called Mr. Manmohan Singh gave banking license to CRB, which is completely against his track record? Why did he do that? If you don't know the truth, you will say, oh, he's done a bad job. But if you know the truth, that he was pressurized by the Ministry of Finance to do it and he was pushed to do it, then you will come out with a completely different point of view. So all the decisions which you take, normally you have all the information which you think you need. With others, you have no clue why they have done that thing and what reason. So when you start looking at others more sympathetically, if I start looking at a taxi driver saying, oh my God, this is such a hard work, or the policeman standing near the airport who has to bend and see every car, believe me, I have so much sympathy for them, and then I feel more and more that, well, some of us are overpaid. Thank you.